Intro Stepford appears to be the ideal suburban paradise, but secrets lurk beneath the pristine surface. In the classic movie, join Joanna and Bobbie as they unearth a sinister mystery that transforms their seemingly perfect lives. So grab your popcorn and brace yourself for the thrilling drama ahead. In the opening scene, a family is seen preparing for a move to Stepford. They bid farewell to the caretaker, thanking her for the help. Once they arrive after a long trip, they find the main door open. Walter Eberhardt mentioned that they won't need to lock their doors in Stepford. As they settle in Stepford and begin unpacking, a woman named Carol Van Sant introduces herself to Walter Eberhardt and offers him a casserole. She mentions that she lives nearby and is friendly. Walter reflects on their move and mentions that they got a good deal on the house and that it's safer in Stepford. Later, Walter and his wife Joanna discuss the move. Joanna is curious about the people in Stepford, and Walter mentions that it's a friendly town. Joanna asks Walter about a disturbing incident involving a man touching Carol inappropriately, and Walter tries to clarify the details. Joanna becomes uncomfortable and changes the subject. They talk about the peacefulness of Stepford and their new home. Walter expresses his desire to enjoy a log fire warming his behind. After some time, Walter tells Joanna about something important about his invitation to the men's club. Joanna questions Walter about the men's association in Stepford, expressing her curiosity about why it's considered an honor to join. Walter mentions that many influential men from the town, including TV executives, psychologists, scientists, and other professionals, are part of this association. She discovers that the men's association is currently exclusive to men only. Frustrated, Joanna accuses Walter of not being truthful with her. She feels that he makes decisions without involving her and merely pretends to consider her input. Walter doesn't respond as Joanna leaves to put their kids to bed. In a Stepford supermarket parking lot, Carol Van Sant accidentally collides with another car driven by Mrs. Sunderson. Walter Eberhardt, a bystander, the cart boy, apologizes for the incident, and Carol reassures him she's fine. After the incident in the supermarket parking lot, Walter and Joanna return home. Back home, they find their daughter seemingly upset. Daughter believes Teddy is unhappy with their new home, but Joanna reassures her that he loves it there. Later that night, Joanna finds Walter sitting alone and drinking. She expresses her worry and asks if something upset him during the initiation. Walter insists that everything is fine, but Joanna feels that he's not being completely honest with her. She reassures him of her love, but mentions that he expected her to read his mind. Tensions continue to simmer in their relationship, with Joanna sensing that something is amiss in Stepford and that Walter might not be telling her the whole truth. Later, Joanna meets Bobbie Marcoe, a fellow ex-Gothamite who has recently moved to Stepford. Bobbie is thrilled to meet Joanna, recognizing her as a talented photographer from New York. Bobbie invites Joanna to go out for a drink or food, and she agrees. As Joanna and Bobbie sit in Joanna's kitchen, they share a lighthearted moment, discussing the messy state of her kitchen compared to Bobbie's. They bond over their common experiences of adapting to life in Stepford. The conversation turns to the mysterious men's association, which both Joanna and Bobbie's husbands are part of. They speculate about the association's activities, with Bobbie joking that they probably watch dirty movies and reminisce about the past. They find it puzzling and unsettling, as nobody seems to know the rules or purpose of the association. Later, Joanna receives a phone call, and it's clear that the call is related to the men's association, as Walter mentions the new projects committee and suggests that some of the guys meet at their house. This call adds to the growing sense of intrigue and unease in Stepford. Back at home, Joanna and Walter discuss their feelings about Stepford to the guests. As the group begins their meeting, they make Joanna feel welcome and encourage her to participate. Joanna's interactions with Men Association Club and the Stepford residents hint at the underlying mysteries and tensions in the town. Joanna and Walter discuss their differing opinions about the Stepford residents. Joanna finds them dull and uninteresting, contrasting them with her New York experiences. Walter defends the residents, highlighting their accomplishments. Joanna remains unconvinced, feeling increasingly out of place in Stepford. Joanna and Bobbie attend a party together, feeling a bit out of place and perplexed by the Stepford residents' behavior. Despite the apparent perfection of the party, Joanna is uncomfortable and confides in Bobbie that something about it doesn't sit right with her. She can't put her finger on it, but she has a sense of unease. Joanna and Bobbie decide to form their own women's club in Stepford, hoping to introduce more modern and progressive activities to the community. They visit the ladies of Stepford to seek their approval and participation. Marie, one of the women they approach, politely declines, explaining that she's not much of a joiner and prefers her own activities, like baking. Joanna and Bobbie respect her decision but continue to seek out others who might be interested. The scene shifts to a rather awkward and comical moment as they mistakenly enter a house where a passionate encounter is taking place between a couple named Frank and Charmaine. Realizing their error, Joanna and Bobbie quickly exit the house. Joanna and Bobbie express their frustration with the lack of interest among the Stepford women. Joanna and Bobbie have an unexpected breakthrough when they meet Charmaine, a Stepford wife who invites them to play tennis. The tennis match becomes a refreshing change for Joanna and Bobbie, who have been facing setbacks in their attempts to connect with the Stepford wives. Charmaine expresses her willingness to participate in a consciousness-raising session, showing genuine interest in Joanna's initiative to bring about change in Stepford. Joanna takes the initiative to meet with one of Walter's friends from the Men's Association, Claude Axhelm. She discusses her project with Claude, but believes it's too time-consuming for the busy Stepford wives, including Claude's own wife. Joanna and Bobbie meet an elderly woman who shares her memories of a women's club that used to exist in Stepford. They find out that Carol Vincent was a member. Carol mentions that the club disbanded years ago because they felt they weren't accomplishing anything useful. She explains that she's content with her life now. Joanna and Bobbie are perplexed by the strange behavior of the women in Stepford. While driving past Charmaine's house, they notice that her tennis court is being plowed up, which adds to their confusion. They decide to visit Charmaine to ask what's happening, suspecting that something unusual is going on. To their surprise, Charmaine tells them about a recent weekend getaway with her husband, Ed, where they had a great time. Charmaine explains that she has fired her maid, Nettie, and now wants to please Ed by fulfilling his desire for a heated swimming pool. She seems genuinely transformed and committed to her new domestic role. Bobbie, still suspicious of the changes in the women of Stepford, shares her theory with Joanna. She mentions an article about a Texas town where the water had a chemical tranquilizer, resulting in significantly lower crime rates. Joanna suggests that something similar might be happening in Stepford, causing the women to become obedient and submissive. Joanna and Bobbie finally decide that they have had enough of Stepford and want to leave the town. Joanna, feeling unhappy with her life in Stepford, approaches Walter, who on the other hand is initially resistant to the idea of leaving Stepford. He mentions that he has work to finish and suggests moving in August so that the kids can settle in before the school year begins. Joanna is overjoyed by Walter's willingness to move, and they embrace, relieved that they are on the same page about leaving Stepford. Bobbie asks Joanna to take care of her kids and their dog while she and Dave go on their annual weekend vacation at the plaza. Joanna agrees to look after them, even though she's somewhat apprehensive about Walter's aversion to noise. Joanna takes photographs of the children to an artist in New York, Mr. Atkinson, to seek his opinion on her work. Mr. Atkinson reviews her photographs and, to Joanna's delight, finds them lovely and intriguing. Joanna later informs Bobbie about her meeting with Mr. Atkinson and his interest in her work, and Bobbie congratulates her on the achievement. Joanna is shocked to see her friend Bobbie change into a different person. Bobbie excitedly shares her recent shopping spree with Joanna, proudly showing off her new attire and mentioning how her husband Dave indulged her with gifts during their weekend at the plaza. Joanna is visibly taken aback by Bobbie's transformation, especially her newfound focus on appearance and housekeeping. Joanna, feeling uneasy about the situation, abruptly leaves Bobbie's house. Joanna's anxiety continues to grow as she observes the changes in her friends and neighbors, all of whom seem to be undergoing transformations that she can't comprehend. Joanna arrives home in a frenzied state, her mind racing with worry and anxiety about her friend Bobbie's transformation. She rushes inside and immediately confides in her husband Walter about what she has witnessed at Bobbie's house. Walter, while expressing understanding for her concerns, also vents his own frustrations about their current lifestyle and the appearance of their home and children. He suggests that Joanna may need professional help, such as seeing a psychiatrist, as he believes she might be overreacting. Joanna vehemently denies needing therapy and insists that they leave Stepford for the sake of their family's well-being. Joanna, desperate and convinced that something sinister is happening in Stepford, seeks help from a psychiatrist. She believes that the men in the Stepford Men's Association, including her own husband, are behind the radical transformations in the women of Stepford. She highlights that her best friend Bobbie also changed dramatically within the same time frame, further fueling her paranoia. The psychiatrist tries to calm Joanna's fears, assuring her that they can work through her anxieties together. Joanna, determined to protect her children from the ominous changes happening in Stepford, returns home with the intention of gathering her kids and fleeing the town. Walter informs her that they are with friends trying to calm her down. Joanna insists on knowing where her children are, growing increasingly anxious. Walter attempts to persuade her to go upstairs and lie down, fearing that she's becoming too agitated. Walter loses his temper and forcefully commands Joanna to open the door. Joanna, in a state of panic, refuses. Walter makes a call, possibly to someone associated with the Stepford Men's Association, expressing concern about Joanna's behavior and the need to handle the situation. Joanna's desperate attempt to protect her family, leaving her isolated and trapped in a terrifying situation in Stepford. Joanna arrives at Bobbie's house in a desperate search for her children, Kim and Amy. However, Bobbie informs her that her kids are not there, as Dave is working late and she took the opportunity to do some cleaning. In an attempt to prove her point and confirm if Bobbie is still human, Joanna cuts her hand to show that she bleeds. She anxiously questions Bobbie if she too can bleed, desperately seeking a connection to her friend's humanity. She stabs Bobbie, only to find her not bleed and malfunction. Alone and anxiously awaiting any news about Joanna's whereabouts, Walter stands in his living room, unsure of what's happening to his family. Suddenly, the tension escalates as Joanna unexpectedly strikes Walter, knocking him to the floor. Joanna, she demands to know their location, and Walter, recovering from the blow, reluctantly reveals that they are at the Men's Association. In a dramatic turn of events, Joanna braves the storm and heads to the Men's Club Association in search of her children. Her journey leads her to the chief of the Men's Association, where she confronts him, demanding answers about her kids and the unsettling changes in the town. The chief attempts to justify their actions, revealing that Joanna has been an unwitting subject of their experiments to create obedient spouses. As the scene unfolds, tension and suspense build as Joanna faces the chilling truth about the town's dark secret and the fate of its women. She slowly looks towards herself in astonishment. The Stepford Wives serves as a chilling reminder that beneath the facade of perfection, conformity can be a weapon and individuality a priceless treasure. This classic tale unveils the consequences of sacrificing authenticity for the sake of societal norms, leaving us to ponder the true cost of perfection. As we conclude, remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.